Awesome. This is Darren with Leaders in Business Podcast, where CEOs and executives in the digital marketing and social media space share their best advice. It is 6 questions in 9 minutes because leaders know what they are talking about. So let's get to it. In a few sentences, go ahead and tell us who you are and what you do.
Hi, thanks so much for having me. I'm Brian Honigman. I'm a marketing consultant based in Philadelphia. I help tech companies, media brands, and NGOs in particular with digital marketing, social media, and content marketing. Those are my kind of core areas of focus. And that's everything typically education-wise, where I'm consulting a company on building their marketing strategy, doing coaching, group trainings, and I do a lot of teaching for higher ed at NYU as an adjunct professor, and then a lot of self-paced online courses for sites like LinkedIn Learning and Skillshare.
Oh, that's awesome. That's a whole wheelhouse of skills that you've got going on there. So what's the best thing about leading your business?
I'd have to say is having control over how I spend my time and flexibility to work on a mix of things. That's what excites me professionally, is being able to vary the types of projects, the types of companies, the types of work I'm able to do with those companies throughout my day, so it stays interesting, so I'm creatively fulfilled, so that I'm excited to take on new challenges, so that I'm continually growing. For example, I mentioned earlier that I do a lot of teaching, and I've created my own courses, worked with partners to create courses. And in the last year or two, I've really taken on doing more of the production of the course, like filming, doing the whole studio setup. And while it was super challenging and is still super challenging, I've learned a ton in the process. And that probably wouldn't happen if, yes, you can certainly learn in a full-time role. I'm not saying that, but just for me, the flexibility gives me the time to try new things, like creating the production setup for filming courses, as an example.
Yeah, that sounds super fun and creative. You get to expand outside the normal business operations. And I hear from other business leaders that it can be challenging to grow your business in today's environment, especially with COVID and all the craziness that's going on. What are some of the biggest challenges you see other leaders facing today?
I think businesses are struggling with how to communicate with consumers in this kind of unfamiliar environment where we have social unrest, the civil rights movement in motion. We have the pandemic. With that has become a lot of economic challenges. So one of the big issues to come out of that from companies is, how do you communicate with your customers in a thoughtful way, where you're getting across your message, you're achieving your goals that you're focused on at one point at this point in time, but also keeping in mind where customers are at. I think it's really touchy. I feel like it's far more complicated than it ever has been to market to people, to communicate with the customers and the individuals you're trying to reach. But on the other side of the other coin is that now, because of all the different options from social media and all the different channels, and just because of the internet's adoption in general, marketing in many ways has never been easier too, because you have a lot of opportunities to reach people where they're at and communicate with them, so you can better understand what they're talking about, thinking about, what kind of interests they have. So while it is the most challenging time ever to communicate as a business, I think there's a ton of opportunities as well to cut through the noise.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. It's a lot to juggle with, and kind of going along that riff, what's the best advice you can give to other business leaders about creating a successful business?
A successful business fulfills the need of a certain group of people, whether it's other businesses or moms or teenagers. I would recommend using the internet to kind of do research and get a sense of where there is a gap to best address the needs of a particular market. I feel like a lot of companies don't go that far because they're not really tuned in with the customer they're trying to serve. And while I don't think it's easy, I do think you have more opportunities to do research, that's publicly available, whether you're, listening to other podcasts or reading articles or looking through the comments on TikTok or Instagram to pinpoint the needs of customers and create something that they really value and that they're asking for, or the new version of an existing product or a new version of an existing service, and making it something special with your own perspective. So I think doing your research and listening to what customers are asking for, you'll find a lot of opportunities just by looking.
Yeah, absolutely. And you had mentioned a little bit earlier about resonating, the message and the difficulty of some of these businesses. I'm curious, what's your take on, some advice that you give to a business that wants to cut through that noise and be able to talk to their target audience without, I guess, offending anyone or creating lawsuits?
Yeah. Right now, I just think being really empathetic right now, being very, you as a business, you always want to monitor what you're putting out there to communicate, from a certain perspective and to be thoughtful about the customers you have. But now I would double, triple check everything you're putting out there to make sure that the actions you're taking match the dialogue you're having with customers, and just to make sure you're not saying anything insensitive. For example, I saw this email newsletter come through from this marketing company, and it said, link building matters. And I don't think at any point anyone there had racist or ill-advised intentions behind that subject line of their email. But it just, right now in today's environment, it just immediately I thought of Black Lives Matter, which has nothing to do with link building. And I just think there was no true correlation, but I would be extra careful with anything that you send out, just to make sure that you're being thoughtful about others. And then, in this time and in general, what I recommend when a company is trying to cut through and reach the right people is being consistent. That's what most businesses fail to do, is they'll try something once or they'll get an initial traction, let's say on Facebook or something. And then after 6 months, after 3 months, after 3 weeks, they just don't continue to communicate on that channel, or don't continue to communicate with their customers in that same way. And consistency is key to build a relationship with people. So that's something else to keep in mind in these specific times and in general.
Wow, really powerful insight there. And, I know you're a big marketing guy. I'm just curious, what's your favorite marketing vertical that you think that other business owners should be exploring right now?
Right now, so it depends on the business. I think there's a lot of interesting opportunities with QR codes, which I never ever thought I would say before. I thought they were always useless, kind of just a marketing thing that no actual business or customer cares about. But now in COVID pandemic times, with everything in person and retail and restaurants needing to be contactless, QR codes actually have a pretty helpful use case with allowing people to scan a menu so that they can access the food they might want to order. Or Instagram just changed the way that you can connect with another account by just scanning a QR code. So not every business right now needs to go out and adapt QR codes per se, but if you have any in-person aspect of your business, thinking of ways to make communication and interaction more seamless. QR codes are one of the ways to do so from a contactless standpoint, but also more convenient. Why did it take now for businesses to adopt QR codes for their menus? Why aren't all menus just online anyways? So business can just go into it almost like a Google Doc into their menu and be like, hey, instead of always printing out this insert for our specials at a restaurant, why can't we just update the menu live that day? and then everyone can access it from their phone. So those and then a change like that, where it makes the experience a little bit more enjoyable, a little bit more seamless, I think everybody wins. So thinking like that with marketing and communication.
Yeah, it's 2020, people. Let's get up to date here,
Exactly.
So now for the final fun question: who's the most interesting person to follow on social media and why?
One of the many people that's worth following is Taylor Lorenz. She's a technology reporter at the New York Times, and I just find her perspective on the internet, but more specifically social media, influencers, how teens use social media, to be particularly fascinating. I am looking at this space and using these tools and on the internet all the time, and she consistently provides a new perspective that I haven't thought of, or points me to new influencers, new websites, new trends that I just haven't thought of. She's really on the pulse, a true journalist that gets it and cares about this space, which this space, with influencers and marketing isn't always taken seriously. And it just makes it really interesting. I really recommend following her, particularly on Twitter, I would say, is her most active social account, where she's providing commentary and also sharing her articles and stuff that she's writing for the Times.
Great, and I'll definitely check her out. Well, it was a pleasure having you on. How can people find you?
Great. Thanks so much for having me. And if anyone wants to stay in touch, you can find me at brianhonigman.com. I have over 800 articles there for free on marketing topics ranging from social media to how to land a job in marketing. You can also sign up for my newsletter from my site as well, where I consistently update you on how to do marketing the right way. So definitely reach out.
I recommend everyone goes out and do that. Well, that's a wrap. This is Darren with Leaders in Business Podcast. For more insights and ideas, go to our website, leadersinbusinesspodcast.com. Thank you so much.